Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Daisha and I like to show this behind the scenes of my small business. I like to talk about bookish content and also content creation. So if any of this piques your interest, then you're in the right place. So today is actually a content creation day for me. I'm running low on all of my short form content. And I thought, what if I took you behind the scenes so that way you could see how easy it is to be able to market your small business on social media. I feel like branching out on social media can be so intimidating. One, you don't want to be over salesy and cringe. Two, it can be very difficult to get behind the camera. And three, it just seems daunting on top of already having to run a small business. So it's just one more thing that you have to do. However, I think having that traffic and that visibility on social media can be very beneficial to your small business. And I'm going to show you today how easy it can be. The first thing that you need to start with is, what is your purpose for posting on social media? Okay. So for instance, I have a friend and she makes charcuterie boards locally. So when she came to me and wanted to help with her social media, I asked, like, what is your purpose? Like, are you trying to just attract local customers? Or are you trying to show tips and tricks that can be accessed by anybody, no matter where they are in the world? So knowing exactly who your audience is for, who you're creating your content for is going to be important. So like for my YouTube channel, I haven't really been promoting products necessarily. I've just been showing the behind the scenes and showing like what my small business is about. However, on my Instagram, I show less about the behind the scenes and more of my reading, my products, and how I use my products while I'm reading. The next thing you need to think about is what platform that you want to start out on. So for me, my main platform is Instagram. That's where I have the most traction. However, I've recently started posting on TikTok and on Instagram. So if you're new to content creation, if you're new to making videos, I would not start on all three. That would be very overwhelming. I would start on one and pick the one that you're most comfortable with, or the one you think is going to be the most bang for your buck. So Instagram is good for building, I feel like, community. TikTok might be better for virality. So it really depends on who your audience is. So for me, I kind of have the best of both worlds because the book community is on both Instagram and TikTok. I just haven't built my TikTok up a lot. However, if your audience is a younger audience, then TikTok might be the way to go. So just thinking about like what you sell, what you've seen so far, and which one you think would be best. Or, I mean, you could try to just repurpose the same content and post on, multiple platforms. You just want it to be easy on yourself. So then we start getting into the fun part, which is coming up with ideas. And I don't know about you, but when I'm scrolling and I'm watching content, that is when I get so inspired and I watch other people. I'm not saying just copy people's videos, right? But when I watch a video in a different niche and I'm like, oh, I could take that and put a spin on it in my own way. That's one way that I come up with content. But also you can ask yourself some questions to see like what kind of things that you should be posting. So for instance, like when you brainstorm, think about what kind of questions do your customers have? Like, do they have questions about the product itself? Do they have questions about the behind the scenes, like how you make the product? So that's a good time to be able to use your platform to answer those questions. Show behind the scenes. That has been my obsession. I have been watching studio vlogs obsessively, learning how, people make certain things, just letting it play honestly in the background as I do my work has been so therapeutic. So people like to see behind the scenes. If people are as nosy as I am, they like to see that. Also, share your story. So people like to hear your journey, where you come from. That also helps them be able to get to know you and also be able to relate to you better. So being able to tell more about yourself does help to build like that sense of community, and also kind of that it starts being able to introduce yourself and tell your story also helps to build trust. So like going back to my friend that has a charcuterie business, I told her like education tips are also very big. So people, even if they're not buying from your charcuterie business in person, however, you can teach them how to do certain things, like how to make certain pairings or how to, layer and design it just perfectly for your next hosting. So being able to give that education is also going to get people interested, even if that her situation's different because it's an in-person business. But even if it's not somebody who has the intent to buy, more eyes on your shop is going to lead to more traction, which will lead to more people looking at your shop. Another kind of video I like to show that also helps you to be able to show off your product without being too salesy is a pack order with me video. Love watching pack orders because I like to see, one, what people are buying, but two, what they offer. So every now and then, if I have one or two orders, I will go ahead and film me packing those orders, even if I'm not going to post it now, just for later whenever I need some content or whatever. I can upload just me packing the orders. And people like that. You can either layer like some chill music with it, or you can do an ASMR video where you can hear you putting all the things together. So some exercises for you. You can write down like 10 questions that customers normally have, and then be able to start branching off from there and making different ideas. Another idea is also to look at what's trending. So doing popular trends can also be a good way to get new eyes on your shop, because those audios are going to be trending and they can show up on people's explore pages. All right, so the next important thing is, when are you actually going to film the content? So let's be honest, we're adults, we're busy. You have a 9 to 5, you have to run your small business, you have kids, you have whatever. So now you have to actually carve out time to make the content. And that's where batching content comes in. So batching content is when you film multiple videos at one time to be able to maximize your time. So there's a book about deep work, and basically when you start doing something and you're in that state of deep work, you're able to get more things done versus if you started it, did one, stopped, started one and stopped. So like for me, for instance, when I start filming, like I have to set up the tripod, I have to set up, if I need lighting, I have to set up lighting, I have to clean my space, which is what I had to do to come over and sit. So if you're having to do all these things multiple times, it adds up. Whereas if you just do it once, you will have it here. I use Notion, so I'll show kind of my screen of what I'm planning to do today. I like to have a brain dump section. So whenever I have an idea, I'll just jot it down in that section. And then when it's actual day to film, I will go back so I will not forget the ideas. I promise you're going to forget. Write it down. But when you're batching your content, you can plan to script out what you want to say. Or if you're more of a just go with the flow kind of person, then you can do that as well. Have whatever trending audios you want to use ready to go. And you just want to film back to back to back. Today, I have 2 books that I need to add an annotation key, and that's going to be on the board that I use to film on. So I'm going to do both of those while I'm sitting there, so I'm not having to get out of that space. When I switch and do the content where it's going to be me talking in my reading room, I will have all of those videos filmed in a row. And I'm not stopping to edit. I'm not stopping to do anything like that. Unless I need to remember what the text on the screen needs to say, I'll just go in and type it really quick so I don't forget. Other than that, no editing is being done. It's just the active filming. I will also batch edit. So I like to habit stack. One task that I hate doing is getting on the treadmill. So while I'm on the treadmill, I will go ahead and edit the videos. I don't like getting on the treadmill, but I do like to have my videos edited. And in my head, I know that if I get on the treadmill, now your videos are done. Just kind of stacking that and making it make sense for you. And usually I'll do like a rough edit on the treadmill. And then if I need to go back and do intricate work that, doesn't need to be done while I'm being jostled around, then I'll do that later. The benefits of batching your content, though, it honestly relieves so much stress, because now I'm not having to worry about what I'm going to post today. I should have anywhere from 4 to 10 videos that are already recorded that I can choose from, and I'm not having to freak out the morning of figuring out what I'm going to post. Another thing that it helps is to build consistency, because again, I'm not having to stress about, oh my goodness, I don't have a video today. If I already have all of these ready, I just pick which one I'm going to post that day and go ahead. And then also you're saving time, because you're not having to stop and get out, any kind of equipment to record each day. I actually started filming this video already, and I hated it, and I started over, but I am going to use a couple of clips from that video. And one of them is me showing how I use Rewind It Back to make a post that is kind of promoting a product without being overly salesy, because you don't want to be like, hi, buy my thing. Hi, buy my cup. Hi, buy, you don't want it to be that, but instead say, for instance, obviously this is not mine. I'm not sponsored by Hibiscus. But if I had a reel of me drinking my tea, somebody would be like, oh my goodness, what are you drinking? That looks so refreshing. That looks so gorgeous. Without me even having to say anything, they're just watching me do it. So in the clip, I'm going to show about how I can use my reels of me just making my books, also promoting products, because you don't want to come across as just always selling something and always being pushy. You want to be like personable, and you want to be able to show your personality and get people to start building that community and trusting you without it just being buy this, buy this, buy this. So obviously I don't have any camera fright. However, there are people that don't like showing their faces, and you can do faceless content. So there are people that only show like their products. You can still make a connection that way. It's just not something that I feel like I needed to do, but other people might. You can have like a lower stakes, less pressure kind of feel to it, but also still show your products. To me, it's a little bit harder to maybe build a brand that way because I feel like part of my brand is, this is going to sound so like, but my face, you know what I mean? Like when people see your face, they associate you with that brand. So there are pros and cons. So I would just do whatever feels most natural and best for you. Some benefits for content creation for small businesses is getting that visibility for your products and then some traffic in to your shop. Whether you're selling on Etsy or you're selling on Shopify or whatever you're doing, by posting on social media, you're directing traffic to your site, and that's going to hopefully lead to sales. And then the long-term benefits, you start to build a community. The community that I've grown on Instagram is honestly amazing. And I'm so happy that I have it, not even for a business purpose, but being able to, just joke around with people and be able to have those connections has been so important to me. And I feel like the hardest thing is just getting started. It doesn't have to be perfect. It does not have to be perfect for you to start. I wish you could see my first reels. Please don't go back and look at them. But it's the amount that I've grown is astronomical. Even honestly, if you go back and watch my first YouTube video, the way I've already grown since then is kind of crazy. So just know that it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to start, because if you never start, you're not going anywhere. So I'm going to take you with me as I do some more content creation, and I'm also going to show some of those other clips that I was talking about earlier today with some more help. So let's go. All right, so as you're creating content, one really important thing to keep in mind is your setup. So for me, natural light will always be the best. Luckily for me, in my dining room, I have two pretty good sized windows that get a lot of light, especially during the spring and summertime. So this is where I like to be at, because I know even on kind of like a cloudy day that it is now, I'm going to be able to get light that is good enough for filming and usually product photos as well. So yeah, the number one thing that I recommend is good lighting. Currently, I'll show you in a minute, but you're on a stand. This stand isn't my favorite, but I think it got broken when I first used it. Before I really even knew how to use it, I think it was already messed up. So that's probably on me. So I can't really speak to the integrity of it, but having something to set your phone and like your recording equipment up on is important. Also, I didn't mention this earlier, but I do record on my phone. So I do a lot of camera hanging down video kind of things. So one thing that my husband and I came up with was we got these like boards. It's not very thick, but it has contact paper on it. So that way it's just like a nice background. So this one's like wood. This one's like a black wood grain. It's not my favorite, but sometimes it does come in handy. And then I just switch them out. So like I can film a video, flip that over. And then I also have a couple of more. So I have like a wood, white brick. So just getting creative. I do have a nice dining room table here. However, it does like have scuff marks, and you also want to be able to have different, backgrounds. So that was like a cheap way for us to be able to create different things. So I think I'm going to do one of the books first and then probably switch to journaling that way. I struggle sometimes like doing the same thing back to back, but this way it'll be split up. So I'm going to get this camera set up how I need it, and hopefully I can record on my iPad to show you what I'm doing. I don't know yet, so we'll see. So if you don't see me actually recording this part, it's because the iPad did not work out.
So for this portion, I decided to pop on and just talk a little bit. So here I have set up my camera. I've actually set up my iPad. That's what's recording you watching me. But above me is a tripod, and I'm recording me working in the book. And in a second, I'll pop in and mention this again, but this is why it's so important to check what your setup looks like. So typically, I will record a video, look at it, and then after I make sure that I'm in frame, everything is good, I'll record it. This time I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm in frame. And I just went ahead and recorded it, and you cannot see me well. So I just thought I'd pop in. But here I am working on the front page of this annotated book. And this isn't necessarily for my shop, but it does get people interested in the annotation process where they ask about my annotation kits, and then I also sell annotated books. So this is the same process I use when I make my annotated book.
Okay, I don't know how much of that last clip I actually used, but let that be a lesson of why you always check where the camera's pointed before you start recording. So usually I will set the camera up, hit record, go sit down, say a couple words, go back, stop recording, watch the video back, make sure the audio sounds good, and make sure the camera is actually looking at me. So I was kind of talking, but it wasn't that serious. But I did get one book done, and now I'm about to get my journal out and do that video next. Just in case I don't use all of the clip, basically I recorded that last one in a time lapse. So the time lapse is going to make it go a lot quicker and just show like the process really fast. And so the video actually took me 10 minutes to make, but when I look at the recording, it's probably only 20 seconds long. So that's really good when you're showing something that's going to take a long time and makes the process seem very quick, even though it's not. Okay, for the next video, I'm going to be doing rewind it back, and I'm going to be making an annotation key to go in the front. And this one's going to serve two purposes. It's going to serve the purpose of showing, first of all, how after I annotated my book, I made the cutesy page at the front. But it's also going to give a time to show off my annotation kits, which I make and sell on my Etsy. So this is like a promotional kind of thing where it's not in your face like, ooh, buy my annotation kit. It's just sitting here as I take the tabs off and put it in here. And then you're always going to have people asking questions like, oh my gosh, where did you get that? How did you do that? Where can I buy this? So especially for people, like, I think it's uncomfortable for me to just like post salesy content. So this is a way to make it feel organic and natural. So I'm going to make that now. All right, talking about some equipment that I have. This light panel, it actually comes with a set of two. I love it, especially if I can't get that natural light. I don't know if it's going to blind you. It's very bright, so it's harsh, straight on, but I will kind of like point it up to reflect off the ceiling, and it just like brightens up the space without it, because it's actually going to rain, so I might not do too much filming. And then this is the stand that I have, so it goes on this way, but then I can also flip it to be able to record this way. So I'm about to put this on here and do some content. It also comes with like a remote. The remote's in my pocket, but that'll start and stop the recording.
Okay, I thought I would pop in again to just talk about the process. So the camera that we're looking through right now is only serving the purpose of showing you the behind the scenes. The camera that I'm actually talking to is my phone, and that is what's in front of me. So all of my videos are pretty much recorded on my phone. It works perfectly fine. You'll see the light panel is on, and it's pointed up, so it's not giving me any harsh shadows on the front. It's just reflecting off the ceiling and brightening up the space. And then I've also got my background looking aesthetically pleasing, because that's also important as well. So as I'm recording this, I also on my iPad have up my list of different things I want to talk about. So I think this video was talking about books that I thought were underrated, but I also have my list of other books I wanted to talk about, so that way I could keep the momentum going after this video ends. And then I'm not going to edit anything as I get finished. I just hit stop record, and then I will record the next one.
I feel like are underrated, and you should pick them up now. Let's get into them. Starting with Dreamland Burning. I think this book is so good. So
I hope that makes sense of how I set up my equipment and to film back to back, and how it's more efficient for me. So you'll notice this book, I'm not talking about my business or selling anything. This is just making a connection with the books that I enjoy and reaching out to the community. So like I said, everything does not have to be a sales pitch. You can have your account be just your business. But for me, it does work out where I can do both, and it's perfectly acceptable. So I think on that part, you just have to figure out what works best for you.
And just like that, in a day's time, I've recorded 3 videos of me talking, just recommending books, 2 annotation keys that show like my process of making annotated books, which I sell in my shop. And then also one with the annotation key beside it. And then I also filmed some journaling content, which use some stickers that I have. So I could have taken it further. I could even use like my annotation stickers in a book to show, which I might still do. Another idea I was going to do, I was going to open a book and have my magnetic bookmark just in the book and take it out. Very simple. So just some different ideas, but I do think it was a successful day. I'm going to stop now. I'm actually about to start another video because just a little sneak peek, but I got an inquiry last night about a wholesale order, and I've never done a wholesale order before. But I went back and forth with her and I made the listing today and she ordered it. And I'm kind of freaking out. So I'm very excited. So I'm going to take you behind the scenes of me doing that. So this video is ending, but I'm about to start another one. And I also got a regular order and I had two other ones. So I'm about to go to the post office just to get out of the house for a minute. And then I'm going to get started back on that. But I hope this like content creation kind of guide helped you some. Also, another thing I recommend is a little microphone. I have a really cheap one from Amazon. It's on my Amazon storefront. It makes a world of difference because the air conditioning is going right now, the dryer is going, and you cannot hear that. But back in the day before I had this, and I would just record, you would be able to hear all of that with just the phone microphone. So I highly recommend if you get nothing else to record, this is it. But anyway, if you have any other like questions or thoughts, comments, I'd love to chat with you below in the comments and also get some conversations going because I know I'm not the only person, that has good ideas. So I'd love to know yours too. So I really appreciate you coming along with me on this journey and I hope you have a good day or night wherever you are. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.